The global death toll from this pandemic is now over 7,500.
Would you prefer a 14-day just sort of national shutdown to slow?
More than 300 Americans taken from quarantine on board that cruise ship in Japan.
As the outbreak grows and the U.S. records new deaths.
So you think that we need to shift our focus on this coronavirus? How and why?
These precautions are the new normal in the fight to contain the coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
Hello everybody, day 18, February 17th. I skipped a few days. I did not record anything because I'm trying to let some time pass as things develop. So I have more to talk about, but I really don't. I just have updated numbers. So, coronavirus, China, Wuhan. They are now doing lockdowns of the city in Wuhan, saying people are not allowed to use their personal vehicles, they're not allowed to leave their homes, to try to contain some of the spread. Well, I think it's already too late for that. I mean, most of the people, I'm not saying most of the people have it, but I guess it might help. I don't know. I just think it's way too late. But anyway, so 70,000 people are now infected. It's growing about 2,000 a day, if not more. About 1,800 dead, 100 a day about dying. It could be more here soon. 40 Americans on a flight from, I think, China are infected. They know that for sure, but they're quarantined, so there's no worries there. No more news about the people here that have been infected or that are infected here other than those 40. I haven't heard anything about that. Other countries are taking more precautions. I haven't heard too much more about that either. I haven't checked for masks. I know I still haven't gotten mine. Yeah, it's getting worse over there. I mean, if you look at it, the numbers aren't that crazy right now, considering there's 1 billion people that live in China and there's millions that are in Wuhan and only 70,000 people have it. That's a lot, but there's a lot of people there. So we'll see how that shapes out. But then they also were saying that like 5 million people flew out of Wuhan or left Wuhan during this outbreak. So I think that 70,000 is like way more. We just can't tell yet. They probably aren't saying the numbers or trying to hide the numbers. Regardless, it won't change the truth of what happens there anyway. I don't know why countries try to hide numbers. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe if I was in the government it would. I don't know. But yeah, day 18. Nothing more in America. Still working, still doing the same old thing. Alright, bye. Peace. Peace.
These are some of the most recent pictures to come in. This is from Barcelona, where people have been out on their balconies playing instruments, sometimes alongside each other. You can see a young guy there playing the saxophone. This is inside a rest home in Japan, where people have been exercising indoors because they're not allowed to go outside. And remember, the virus is particularly deadly for elderly people. And remember, Japan has the most elderly population in the world, so particular care is being taken. These people are exercising outside on their rooftops in Rome, doing it in part in coordination with other neighbours across the way. You can see most of them still staying a little distance apart. Not so active in Venice, but these police are out on the streets to make sure quarantine regulations are being observed. Bear in mind, across Italy, people can only leave their homes if they have an urgent work reason or they need to get some food.
We begin tonight with the coronavirus evacuations. More than 300 Americans taken from quarantine on board that cruise ship in Japan on buses, then put on planes. But it was learned along the way some had tested positive for the virus. The passengers initially considered healthy to fly. U.S. officials then getting that alarming report while on the way to the airport. They decided to keep going. 14 of those Americans testing positive for the virus confined to special containment areas during their charter flights back to the U.S. 2 planes touching down in California and Texas. All passengers now under new quarantine right here at home. In fact, some have now been transferred to Omaha. ABC's Clayton Sandell leading us off tonight.
Tonight, more than a dozen Americans back on U.S. soil, now believed to be infected with novel coronavirus, landing in Omaha, Nebraska today, escorted from the plane one by medical teams, rushed off by motorcade to this special isolation unit.
They've had a very long journey, so I think we're not going to make any assumptions about anything that's passed along verbally. We're going to go ahead and just test everybody.
338 Americans were evacuated from the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan, flown to bases in Texas and California, arriving overnight. 14 are suspected of having a coronavirus infection. 4 now in isolation and hospitalized near Travis Air Force Base near Sacramento. 10 in Omaha. Hundreds of passengers checked before leaving the ship were deemed healthy to fly.
I have to put my mask on.
The bus will take you to the airplane. The airplane takes you to the United States.
But after the evacuation had already begun, a complication. New test results revealed those 14 people were positive for the virus, exposing others on a 40-minute bus ride to the airport. Officials making a critical decision, saying the safest option was to push forward with the evacuation, putting infected patients in the back of the planes in these special isolation chambers.
They took temperatures, and if you had a high temperature, you went into that isolation booth.
Mark Jorgensen had to leave his wife behind in a Japanese hospital after she tested positive for the virus. So far, 454 cruise passengers have been infected. We met John and Melanie Herring when he spiked a fever and had to be hospitalized. He's now fighting the virus and has pneumonia.
Goodbye, Diamond Princess.
The couple deciding Melanie should be on that flight home. Melanie is now back in the U.S., telling us she too spiked a fever.
All right, so let's get to Clayton Sandell. He is live from Omaha tonight. And Clayton, the rest of the roughly 300 passengers, the Americans who showed no sign of the virus, we know they spent time on those buses with these passengers, the Americans, the 14 who it's believed might be infected with coronavirus. Of course, more testing here at home. But I gather the rest of the passengers who were in close contact, they'll be watched closely now for the days to come?
They will be watched very closely, David. They'll be in quarantine for 2 weeks. And it's important to note that those 14 others who tested positive in Japan will be tested again here in the States. And while that happens, they will be kept in quarantine, in isolation, away from everyone else. David?
All right, Clayton.
Hello! It's Cyberball here. All right, so it's day 20, February 19th. 2020, COVID-19. So in previous videos, let me explain what I got wrong. When they made a name for the coronavirus, I didn't know what it was. It's COVID-19. I now know. The other day I said there was like 40 people that were infected with something. It was only 14. So yeah, I was wrong there. But let's go to new information. 2 passengers on a cruise ship in the British have been tested positive for the virus. They said in Washington State they found 719 people infected. I only saw one thing about that, nothing yet, nobody freaking out, so we'll see what happens with that. Nothing else more in America other than these other people that were on the Japan cruise line are now on U.S. soil being quarantined. In China, over 2,000 deaths as of today, and over 70, maybe now 80,000 infected and getting worse. They said it's going to move towards southern China, so we'll see what happens in that. So it is spreading. Remember, let's update this from the first time. I think I spoke to everybody when there was only like 300 people infected. 300 or 3,000. Something like that. There's 300 or 3,000. I know that's a lot, but it's a little in retrospect. And now look how much there is, and it's only been about a month. So, it's going slow everywhere else. It's going very...
The only confirmed supply issues are for medical equipment like masks and respirators. Demand has shot up 100-fold and prices have soared.
Right now, we expect that demand will outpace supply for the near future.
In North America, experts have asked the general public not to buy masks, stressing they're simply not needed and should be saved for frontline responders. All of it adds up to a tenuous situation for doctors and hospitals, who may be forced to make tough decisions if supplies are jeopardized.
It's possible that in the medium term, while we start to build up alternative sources of supply, that non-essential surgeries or services that can, healthcare services that can be postponed are postponed.
Coronavirus COVID-19 Journal, day 22, February 21st. Recent news, it's spreading. There's a bunch of cases in Singapore now. It's spreading in South Korea. It's spreading in Iran, multiple cities. The death toll is 2,200. The infected, that is reported 76,600 as of today. Nissan has stopped production in their China factories, so that's going to affect. There's actually a lot of things being affected as of right now. PlayStation 5s, a lot of the parts are made in China, so that's going to be affected. I heard Hong Kong opened up a mask production warehouse where they're making more masks, so that's good. But yes, since a lot of things are produced in China and they're the head of this whole virus, it's going to affect us all in some kind of way all around the world. All around the world, and the coronavirus is infectious. So, that is your latest update. I still don't hear anything in America. I don't hear too much. Even on CNN, when they push that stuff right on their page, it's about all the other countries, nothing about the US. So, my next update, I will try and find stuff about the United States that is super relevant that we can see. So, there you have it. Peace.
From confinement on a cruise ship to confinement on the Wirral, 32 British and Europeans evacuated from the Diamond Princess off the coast of Japan flew into the UK this morning. They will now spend 14 days in quarantine at Arrow Park Hospital. All have tested negative for the new coronavirus disease, COVID-19. But left behind in Japan, in hospital, are David and Sally Abel, a couple from Northamptonshire who have both tested positive and who both now have pneumonia. The number of cases in England is still only 9, but the NHS has now started piloting home testing for the virus and preparation for any potential outbreak.
This plane brought Taiwanese evacuees home from a quarantined cruise ship in Japan hit by the coronavirus. While their plane and all luggage gets a thorough disinfection, the evacuees will be isolated for another 2 weeks. These precautions are the new normal in the fight to contain the coronavirus. In Italy, top officials meet after the virus claimed its first victim in the country. An elderly man in northern Italy died after being hospitalized. The number of cases spiked to 17 in just one day. In Codogno, a town southeast of Milan, officials shut down schools and businesses.
They've issued an official order to close down all the shops, and we're following the order, so we're closing. There's a lot of alarm, and that also worries me.
We are old and very concerned. I am 76 years old. I live on my own. I really don't know what to do.
Public events are banned, and that includes church services. The first patient to contract the virus here had met a friend who had recently travelled to China. But the World Health Organization is worried about another trend they have spotted in the latest infections.
Although the total number of cases outside China remains relatively small, we're concerned about the number of cases with no clear epidemiological link, such as travel history to China or contact with a confirmed case.
White House officials are expected to ask Congress for extra funding to help battle the coronavirus.
A spike in outbreaks around the world has health experts worried about a pandemic. Christian Cordero joins us now live from the newsroom this morning with the latest numbers and how Wall Street is reacting. Good morning, Christian.
Hey, Kim, good morning. So Wall Street is not reacting well, as you would expect with this level of uncertainty. The Dow futures are positioned to open down 800 points, similar percentage-wise to the S&P and the NASDAQ. Behind those numbers, though, are ones much more consequential. There are almost 80,000 cases of coronavirus around the world. The plan since January has been to contain the virus where it started in China. And while the vast majority of cases are within its borders, other countries are adding their names to the outbreak list. South Korea has reported roughly 760 cases and 7 deaths. And then across the world in Italy, a spike in coronavirus has locked down towns, canceled schools and soccer matches. Its health minister is asking anyone who recently traveled to other outbreak cities to remain in house stay. Here in the U.S., we have 34 confirmed cases, including the 14 Americans who came back to the U.S. after spending weeks in quarantine on that Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan. Health and Human Services expects to spend millions more dollars in its response to this outbreak. Kim?
All right, Christian, thank you.
It seems to start with a fever, followed by a dry cough. After a week, shortness of breath means some people need to go to hospital. A small percentage don't survive. Thousands of new cases of the coronavirus are being reported each day, but the World Health Organization says the outbreak can be contained. Others say it could become a global pandemic.
Yeah, what we've learned so far, and we didn't know this in the beginning when countries attempted to try to stop the spread of the virus, what we now know is that the virus seems to be capable of producing a range of symptoms in people in terms of how severe they are. The World Health Organization has said that about 82% of the cases that we know of so far are mild. And that is quite different than SARS. SARS tended to be a more severe disease. With SARS, people tend to spread the virus until they were quite ill, which made it really important that there be appropriate infection control practices in hospitals. And once we improved infection control practices in hospitals, we really decreased transmission. But what we're seeing with this virus is that it is spreading much more widely in the general community, and not, though there have been some healthcare worker infections, they're certainly not the majority. So what this means is that the virus is spreading a bit faster, and it's spreading a bit earlier. Some people have even raised the possibility that people can spread even potentially before they develop symptoms. I think there's still an open question about that. Nonetheless, this virus is behaving quite differently than SARS, and unfortunately the ways in which it is different make it particularly difficult to contain.
COVID-19 Journal, day 25, February 24th, update. I'm only doing these updates every couple of days because the news isn't changing that much. So, or if it is, it's a lot of detail. But anyway, so let's start with the infected still around the world, 79,000. I believe that might be just China. No, I think it's around the world. 79,000 infected, 2,600 dead, 150 more dead overnight in China. That's horrible. They said that Italy got the virus and can't control it. They said it could create a pandemic. South Korea has it, over 600 cases. And they think it got onto the military base there in South Korea because there is a woman that is linked to a soldier there who was confirmed to have it. So that's not good either. I'm still not seeing stuff in the United States. I heard in Naval Base in Maryland that a whole bunch of people had it. But I don't know if that is entirely true because I haven't seen any news locally about that. So either they're hiding it or it's not true. So I would think if it was true and they weren't hiding it, it would be everywhere and it'd be talked about. People are starting to talk about it more and more every day. I stopped looking for masks in the store. No reason. Mine are on back order. I have the ones that are in the store anyway. The hospitals are buying them up. Figured that out. I even asked a nurse. I ran into a nurse and they said the nurses are buying them, or the hospitals, I mean, because they have to have enough. If people start buying them and they go on back order, the hospitals need them first, which is true. So, saying that, It's getting worse, I believe. We'll update this in a couple of days unless something crazy happens. What else? Let's see. When I first started these videos, I believe there was only like 2,500, 30,000. Now there's 79. It's been about a month. So you do the math. That's a lot in a month. So it's February 24th. How many will be infected by March 24th? If it went from 3,000 to 79, so another 76? No, I think it's going to triple. But we'll see. Be safe. Be safe. Start using sanitizer, washing your hands now. Don't unnecessarily touch stuff. If you're in an infected area, wear your mask. Try to stay out of public. Do what you gotta do. Alright, peace.
In the U.S. and around the world. And we heard early on, at the end of December, about this unusual illness that was taking place in Wuhan, China. And the fact that it was associated with the seafood market led some evidence that it might be this, what we call zoonotic transmission from animals to people. As soon as the Chinese announced that it was a novel coronavirus, and the Chinese, to their credit, made that sequence information available right away, our coronavirus experts here at CDC used that sequence information to design a test so that we would be able to detect the virus, even though at that time there were no cases in the U.S. and we had no samples of the virus because we had no clinical material.
COVID-19 video journal, March 16th. I'm on my way home from the grocery store. There's nothing. I already have some stuff, don't worry. Not that you would be, but they're empty. Pics to follow when you watch this. I've gone a couple of times. One time Safeway had a ton of things and now they're all empty completely. I went and tried to get some extra meat just so I would have extra, but that's not happening unless I get there when the truck gets there. But not only they're buying meat, they're buying everything. Soup, vegetables, tuna, bullets, everything. It's all crazy. The stats, don't have those yet. Sorry. So much going on. I just gotta sit down and do those. But in Maryland, they closed all the bars, movie theaters, gyms, which sucks because I go to the gym like every day. Home workout it is. But yeah, so the next step I think is total lockdown. Don't leave your house for a week, and then okay, you're allowed to leave on the weekend. Don't leave your house for a week. And I believe I saw a post that Donald Trump said that this could last till July or August. That will be a complete shit show if that happens. You think people are crazy now? Wait till halfway to August and then you'll see. So, saying that, I'm going to keep doing these video journals. I don't know who has coronavirus around here. I got alcohol spray in the car. I got some gloves, you know what I mean? I am ready, I believe. I saw this coming slowly. It's not horrible. It's not like it's super deadly, but you still want to be super safe at the same time. I mean, they're locking up everything around you. What are you going to do? Not be safe? Not try to avoid it? You're at least going to try a little bit, you know what I mean? So, alright. That's all I have. I am at home now. Y'all enjoy your day. Hit you up tomorrow. Peace.
Would you prefer a 14-day just sort of national shutdown to slow this down?
You know, I would prefer as much as we possibly could. I think we should really be overly aggressive and get criticized for overreacting.
Okay. Should more Americans be prepared to be hunkering down at their house?
I think Americans should be prepared that they're going to have to hunker down significantly more than we as a country are doing.
We know it.
Here's where things stand right now. The U.S. is under a national state of emergency, and the CDC has now updated its guidance, urging against any gatherings of 50 people or more in the next 8 weeks. Stock futures are once again sliding despite emergency action from the Federal Reserve, slashing interest rates to zero. The Senate is now poised to take up a sweeping bill passed by the House that includes free testing, extended sick leave, and $1 billion in food aid. Meanwhile, several states and cities across the nation have shut down restaurants and bars to sit-in guests. California, Illinois, and New York City among them. The city of New York also announced last night that it's closing schools, nightclubs, movie theaters, and other entertainment venues. The state of New York is now considering whether to join 2 other states, Georgia and Louisiana, in postponing their primary elections. The governor of California has called on more than 5 million senior citizens in his state and those with underlying health conditions to isolate themselves. This as the number of confirmed cases continues to surge, now closing in on 3,500. Florida saw a huge spike this weekend, and West Virginia remains the only state without a confirmed case. And this was the result of the Trump administration's hastily arranged airport screenings for travelers from Europe. Scores of people crammed together.
That is such a nightmare.
In the types of crowds we've been told to avoid. And that brings us to Europe. The UK and Ireland were added to the president's travel ban over the weekend. Italy, Spain, and France recorded their highest death tolls for a single day. France 29, Spain 97, and Italy a staggering 368 deaths. Italy also recorded its most number of new cases in a day, 3,590. Spain and France have now joined Italy in banning people from leaving their homes for non-essential purposes.
Thanks for checking out.
COVID-19, March 16th, day I don't know. All the stores are empty. Still, I did find beef and chicken, so that's good. But now there's lines. Some stores, bigger supermarkets, BJ's, Costco's, have changed their times to clean and restock, which I think is awesome. But everywhere else, everything's going very quickly. The lines are long. I am done shopping. I hope everybody can get some food. I do believe there's going to be a lockdown. There's no lockdown yet. All the bars, restaurants, schools are closed. I believe everything's going to be closed mostly next, or there'll be a curfew in place just like there is in Italy at some point, because everybody's still going out like regular. They're just not frequently going to bars, restaurants, and getting in big gatherings. Yes, that reduces the spread, but it doesn't eliminate it enough. People are still going to gather other places. People are still going to work where those are big ass gatherings of people. So, saying that, it hasn't happened yet, but I think it will. I can't go to the gym. I found some old gym equipment at my mom's house. I'm going to try to use that and body weight exercises. Whoop-de-doo. Let's try to find motivation for that, doing it in your own house when you have all this food, all these things to do. Don't know how that's going to work, but we're going to try it. Gotta keep in shape, right? Yeah, around the world. This guy came out with the 6 stages of quarantine in Italy. Check that out if you can find it. All the deaths, cases are obviously going up, 100,000 more. I think it's 6,000 deaths worldwide now, I believe. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't know the final number. Let's see, what else? Oh, shit. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Here in Maryland, Baltimore, there's shootings. Oh, ammo. Guns. They're gone. I was in Walmart looking in the ammo section. virtually all gone. They're buying it all. All the guns and gun stores, they're buying it all. I don't know what's going on with that. I guess people think that's gonna get that bad. I don't believe it is, but it is what it is. I guess they're just gonna buy it all. I guess some people think it's a conspiracy theory too, that the government's trying to take over and they don't want that to happen. I've heard that too. I believe that's not going to be the case. They would need an extreme virus to come out before that would happen. I did see that there was a post of the National Guard moving around nearby on the highways, not doing anything, just moving from one place to the other. That could just be normal, I don't know, but we'll see. I heard San Francisco got locked down for 3 weeks, not sure if that's true. Heard West Virginia got its first case today, unconfirmed. Alabama, I heard, doesn't have a case yet. Let's see, what else? I don't know. Every day they're changing facts or updating facts on the coronavirus, COVID-19. So, if I gave you some facts right now, which I don't have, by the way, then they would probably change tomorrow. It's a flowing movement of information that is ever changing every day, depending on the state, city, country you are in. I know everybody's stocked up on food, well, most people. Oh, I heard they're trying to do some kind of relief effort. Let's see how good that goes, and that's gonna cost a lot of money. But we'll see if it helps. I heard they're gonna do a payroll tax relief. We'll see if that goes through. We'll see if that helps. So there's that. Okay, everybody have a wonderful day. Till tomorrow's update, COVID-19, March 16th. Peace.
Italy is under a lockdown across the country as it battles the spread of the novel coronavirus known as COVID-19. Italy has been hardest hit by the outbreak in Europe. Tourists have disappeared and people there are rushing to supermarkets as the country shuts down. Italy will be under lockdown until April. The country's 60 million people will be able to travel only for work, medical reasons, or emergencies. At the epicenter of the outbreak, in Wuhan, the Chinese president visited Tuesday. President Xi Jinping went to the city for the first time since the start of the outbreak. China has now closed all temporary hospitals in the city. In Tenerife, hotel staff are in high spirits after a 2-week lockdown was lifted. Tourists were in quarantine at the hotel in Spain after people visiting tested positive for coronavirus.
Wir sind gerne hier gewesen. Wir hatten einen schönen Urlaub. Es war ein bisschen komisch, dass man eingesperrt war. Das Hotel kann dafür nichts. Die haben sich alle Mühe gegeben. Wir sind glücklich, wir wollen jetzt nur nach Hause. Und wir werden sicherlich wiederkommen, auch in dieses Hotel.
Many airlines around the world have been suspending flights because of the outbreak. British Airways and Air Canada have nixed all flights to and from Italy. And Norwegian announced it's canceling about 3,000 flights across the entire network between March and June. Air India has suspended flights to Shanghai and Hong Kong until June as well. And Air Seoul has stopped all flights to China until further notice. In France, 30 people have now died from the virus. When it comes to countries with the highest confirmed cases, France is number 6. There are more than 1,400 people there who now have the strain.
Nous ne sommes qu'au début de cette épidémie. Nous avons anticipé, nous nous sommes préparés à chaque moment de la phase montante et de cette épidémie. Nous saurons adapter la réponse pour apporter justement les réponses que nos concitoyens sont en droit d'attendre.
COVID-19 video journal, March 20th, 2020. 244,000 infected worldwide, over 10,000 deaths. Remember, we started this at 3,000 infected, only like, maybe a couple hundred deaths. Now it's over 10,000. Of course, they're buying food still everywhere, selling out. All stores took restricted hours. I think California, I saw a post, shutting down. I saw a post, Pennsylvania is doing the same thing. I believe it's going to happen in Maryland next. But I'm ready. Mentally, I got food, I got water. Not that I need water, the faucet has water. I don't know why people run for water. You got faucet water, use that. Yeah, sorry about the darkness. I don't know what to tell you. It's dark out here. I'm trying to think what else is going on. People are fighting for toilet paper. I saw a video on that. To be expected. They are probably activating National Guard if they haven't already. I'm still going to work. A lot of other people aren't going to work. Banks' business hours just changed, so they're working shorter times. I believe that is the next step, that every non-essential job will close and we'll be stuck in quarantine. Not the same as Ben Kavanaugh in my other videos, where he actually was in quarantine because he thought he might have or could have had the coronavirus, COVID-19, but he didn't. Great for him. I believe I don't, but the whole state might be in quarantine soon, and we'll be sitting in our houses for 2 weeks, just like Ben. So, saying that, it is what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do. Stop it. I ain't mad at it. Oh, there's some relief funds, I believe, that are coming soon. They passed a bunch of them. I don't know the details. So, I guess we will see about that also. And if any crazy updates come, I'll either make another video later today or another one tomorrow. So, okay. Peace out.
The coronavirus emergency. Financial markets around the world rocked overnight amid new concerns about the spread of the virus. Now more than 79,000 cases confirmed worldwide. More than 2,600 people have died.
Cases skyrocketing in South Korea, more than 830 confirmed there. And in Iran, at least 12 people have died, while Italy is seeing the worst outbreak outside of Asia. 219 people have been infected there, and 5 people have died. James Longman is there starting us off this morning. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. This is the front line of the fight against coronavirus in Italy, if you like. Down this road here, these are the 12 towns which are on lockdown. We've been told, actually, if we go over this line, we'll end up in quarantine ourselves. We've been watching as the police have been checking cars, making sure that no one's coming from those towns. More than 150 cases, as you say, 5 people dead now in Italy, and the hunt is on for patient zero.
I am Don Lemon. Here's our breaking news. New numbers as this coronavirus spreads. More than 160,000 cases in the United States. Over 2,980 deaths. And we reached another tragic milestone today, the most reported coronavirus deaths in a single day. Well over 500. This is our new reality right now. It is absolutely staggering where we find ourselves tonight. More than 3/4 of Americans are under stay-at-home orders tonight. Most likely, you are one of them watching right now. Most likely, you don't recognize what has happened to life in America in just a few short weeks, just a matter of days. And now that staggering number of cases, over 160,000, it was only just a little over a month ago that the president said that there were only 15 cases in this country, predicting the number would soon be close to 0.
And again, when you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0, that's a pretty good job we've done.